Parenting is the hardest job, and there is not a close second. Raising high-performing teen athletes or performers? That's a high-stakes job. I'm Nate Crandall, joined by fellow certified high-performance coach Steve Galley. We coach ambitious parents like you, and also your high-performing teens, because when you both level up, connection and results don't just improve, they multiply. Welcome to the Stop Parenting and Start Coaching podcast. We have some burning questions for you. Are you out of alignment?
I am a person, not a car.
But you think alignment only has to do with cars? You're sorely mistaken. But cars is a big deal. Have you ever tried to drive a car out of alignment? You have to, with your history.
Well, yeah, I know when we were first married, we bought a new car, which we probably shouldn't have, but we bought a new car. And of course, everything's smooth, everything's great, everything's in alignment. And man, we nailed a Utah pothole.
The cavernous ones.
They're large.
They can get very big here.
They're volcanic craters here. Well, no, we have the, and maybe this is a good lead in to what we're going to talk about with parents and teens and the misalignment. But we get the extreme heat, we get the extreme cold, and we get moisture, we get the cracks in the asphalt, in the concrete, and then the expansion, the contraction, and we get some big potholes. But anyway, our car, it was all of a sudden, you could take your hands off the wheel. This was before you could take your hands off the wheel and the thing would just drive steering itself. But all of a sudden, it's going way to the right.
Cranking.
And had to go back in and get things lined back up.
Well, I think you're right on. That ties in so well because with your car, what gets you out of alignment? You hit something. You hit a big pothole. You run over somebody else's transmission that fell out of their car, whatever you run over, but that gets you out of alignment. It's exactly like that with our relationships. We hit something, our kids hit something, and it gets them out of alignment.
Let's talk about that transmission on the road or the big pothole. Sometimes you have parents and teens that are, they both want the same thing.
Yes.
They're both ambitious. Shoot, sometimes the kids do want the scholarship. Sometimes they don't.
A lot of times they do. They really do inside.
Yeah,
do you know what fouls it up, Steve? Can I share what really messes it up?
Sure.
Teens experience bigger emotional swings than we do as adults. It's one of the things that separates adolescents from adults is their emotions are way bigger. The highs higher, lows lower. And so when they go through an average school day, they're going to hit 10 to 20 potholes, emotional potholes throughout the day where this happens, that happens, and they're going to feel it. They're coming home and they're bored, lonely, angry, stressed, tired, emotional pothole. Easier for them to get out of alignment so that you guys want the same thing. They want the scholarship, you want the scholarship. They want to give their best effort, you want them to give their best effort. But they get knocked out of alignment bigger, faster than we do.
Yikes.
Yeah. It messes it up fast, but that's one of the challenges that high-performing parents have to be ready for.
Yeah, you've got to be ready for it. And so if my teen comes home and I immediately see what I think is not their best effort,
yep,
it's easy for me to jump all over them. Maybe not even jump all over them, but to be very critical because I know better. I've been there, done it, and I want the best for them. They need to listen to me. And so I immediately go into consultant mode and start telling them what they should do, what they need to do. And the should and the need are actually right. It would be like if they did that, it would help them. But it might be going through one ear and out the other because of their emotional state.
Yep.
And
they
so
hit a pothole, so they're coming home and they don't need to hear it right now. So you're saying something that most of the time they'll agree with, But because they've hit an emotional pothole and are out of alignment with their goals, that's going to hit wrong and it's going to blow up. Big fight.
Or it just turns into silence.
And they disappear into their phone or into their room.
Right. Ooh, that can be, there can be a lot of weight on that silence.
Yeah.
It can be heavy.
Really, really heavy. And this is why parenting is the hardest job, because you have to be so in tune with your kid and be so flexible. So you're trying to maintain those standards. You're trying to help them get the goals that both of you want. But if you're not adaptable and adjusting and staying in even better alignment, because when they're out of alignment, it forces you to stay more in alignment and be better at what you do as a parent, coach under pressure.
So where do values come into this? Because we were talking about the idea that you both want the same thing. And maybe it is a scholarship. Maybe it is the winning season. Maybe it is some certain level of achievement for performers and artists. Maybe it's getting this part, being in this play, whatever it is. And so you have this disconnect. I tend to believe that if you really looked at each other's values, there's a misalignment there with the actual goals. And if you can make sure that your values are in alignment, then it's easier to get back to, okay, these are the goals we want, but we have this emotional situation that is not conducive for a fruitful conversation.
Right.
So how do we navigate this? Like we don't want to, they've hit a pothole.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to hit another one. We don't want to hit the big one.
So this becomes, what's the most important value? If your value, the most important thing is the value of the relationship. As a parent, it allows you to be a little more flexible. Where we lose sight is we put a higher value on the scholarship, on the consistent and constant effort. And we forget how hard it is to be consistent and constant as a teen, because they get out of alignment with where they want to go so much faster than we do. And as a parent, we want to bring them back into alignment, but we fail to value the relationship and their perspective more than our own. And if we can maintain a connection with them that allows us to absorb that emotion, help them process that emotion, we'll actually get them back on track faster than if we try to force them back onto track or force them back into alignment quicker.
I'm thinking about regular car maintenance. Like when you get your tires rotated and whatever, I actually don't hear that much about alignment anymore. I don't know if car manufacturers, if it's a lot better now. But a teenager, you're talking about during the day, 15 to 20 potholes. What about during a whole season?
Oh my gosh.
Like if we were high school basketball coaches, so you take a 4 to 5 month season, let alone even if you take out the preseason and off season stuff. Those kids are on an emotional roller coaster and dodging the potholes throughout the whole thing. I think we may make a mistake, and I know I made this mistake as a coach and as a parent, and I think I see people continue to do this, where you make an assumption that at the beginning of the season, the values and the goals are all lined up and everything's good. And you just assume that it's going to continue that way throughout the entire season. And then all of a sudden you're in the repair shop 2 months in.
What I think the most important thing for parents to get out of this episode is for them to appreciate how often we need to check in on the alignment. And we don't have to have the conversation with them. This is more on us as parents to assess where they're at. When they come home from a practice, when they come home from a game, when they come home from school, read the room. get a quick feel on where they're at and realize that has a massive impact on your ability and the effectiveness of the push that you want to give. And if they're not in the right frame of mind, doesn't matter how hard you push, doesn't matter where you push. You have to shift into the let's help them process what they're going through and get them back on alignment. And as you process, if they can't get back on alignment, now you might need to start having some deeper conversation about, do you really want this? Are you really committed to doing this? But that's not a quick conversation. That's one that you build up to.
I love it.
Yeah, that little check-in is huge. Just when they come home, we have to do our best. And it's not a pepper them with questions. How was your day? It's using your parent instincts. And moms tend to be better at this than dads, but some dads are actually really good at it too. You get a feel for where your kid's at. And if you're sensing something's off, don't go chasing them and say, your effort stinks this, or you're not going to get the scholarship. Or
let's stay in alignment.
Aye.
Parents, thanks for joining us. May your values and goals with your teens ever be in alignment. And if they get out of alignment, get into the repair shop, get it fixed. Follow me, Steve Galley, on LinkedIn. There you can keep up with what Nate and I are doing. And of course, please hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel, the Stop Parenting and Start Coaching podcast.
Nate Crandall and Steve Galley would like to thank you for tuning in to this episode. If you love what you're experiencing and learning from the Stop Parenting and Start Coaching podcast, please like, comment, and or leave a glowing review of this episode and the show. And to further help Nate and Steve expand their reach and impact thousands of parents, athletes, and performers, please share the show and subscribe to the Stop Parenting and Start Coaching podcast channel on YouTube. And if you want to explore further to see what Nate and Steve are creating to help parents of athletes and performers everywhere, please visit their website at createtransformbecome.com. That's createtransformbecome, all one word, .com. There you will find a growing number of tools and resources to help you elevate your parenting. Thanks again for tuning in. Now go create a magical relationship with your athlete or performer.